Imagine a tool that generates constant income without producing anything tangible. It is so deeply embedded in our lives that most of us barely notice using it every day. This tool is debt. And debt is far from an innocent financial instrument. It has been deliberately designed as one of history's most profitable creations. It has financed wars, toppled empires, enslaved nations, and quietly consumed the wealth of ordinary people. Yet, if you ask most people about the origins of debt, its creators, or how it took hold of the financial system, you rarely get a clear answer. The story of debt is not just economic history, it is the story of money and power. At its simplest, debt is a promise. You take today and pledge to repay tomorrow. Yet within this promise lies the foundation of financial control: interest. Charging interest is the method of turning the future into profit today. For thousands of years, societies have faced this reality. Ancient Mesopotamians recorded debts on clay tablets, but regularly forgave debts to prevent widespread insolvency. Their rulers understood. If too many people fell into debt, the system would collapse. The Hebrew Bible commands the cancellation of debts every 50 years. The idea is simple. Debt is dangerous. Left unchecked, it can enslave societies. Over centuries, however, elites learned to wield debt as a weapon rather than erase it. In medieval Europe, the Catholic Church prohibited usury, yet merchants and bankers found ways around this restriction, disguising loans as commercial agreements or creating complex financial instruments that did not appear to be debts. During the Renaissance, powerful banking families like the Medicis of Florence built their empires not with land or armies, but by lending money. By financing kings, popes, and merchants, they gained not only wealth, but political influence. Debt had become more than a financial tool. It had become a driver of power. The real transformation began in the 17th century with the rise of public debt. The Dutch Republic financed its war of independence from Spain by selling bonds to its citizens. Investors could buy government bonds, earn interest, and trade them like property. Wars were no longer limited by the gold in a king's treasury. They could be financed continuously by selling the future. The Netherlands refined this model, and England followed. With the founding of the Bank of England in 1694, national debt became a permanent institution. Governments no longer borrowed only in emergencies. They lived continuously on debt. Bankers who managed this debt became indispensable to the crown. Debt had evolved from private agreements to the foundation of state power. The profits were enormous. Lending to governments was considered one of the safest investments, as states could repay creditors through taxation. Wars that once bankrupted monarchs could now be endlessly financed, expanding empires, opening new markets, and creating further opportunities for debt. In the 18th and 19th centuries, the bond markets of London, Paris, and Amsterdam became the heart of global finance. Armies marched, ships sailed, and colonies were conquered, all financed by debt. But this was not limited to states. As industrial capitalism spread, ordinary people became part of the cycle. Railways, factories, and infrastructure projects were financed with credit. Workers earned wages from companies sustained by debt, then borrowed themselves to buy homes, cars, and consumer goods. Debt permeated every layer of economic life. By the 20th century, debt was no longer a tool only for governments or businessmen. It had become an everyday product sold to everyone. Mortgages, car loans, credit cards, student loans. The entire structure of modern life was built to make borrowing a normal condition of living. Here, the system's hidden genius, or ruthlessness, emerges. Debt does not profit only once. Every interest payment transfers wealth from debtor to creditor over months and years. Unlike a product you consume physically, debt is designed to be enduring, trapping you in a cycle of payments. A 30-year mortgage can cost 2 or 3 times the home's original price. Credit card debt, if carried month to month, can grow faster than you can pay. A simple promise becomes a snare. Debt is not just a financial arrangement. It is history's most successful business model. It requires no factories, inventory, or raw materials. It generates wealth from time itself. Those who first understood this, the merchants of Amsterdam, the bankers of London, the financiers of Wall Street, became the architects of the modern financial system. This system does not just manage debt. It produces, expands, and depends on it. By the mid-20th century, debt had become the lifeblood of the global financial system, no longer a tool used only in emergencies. The 1944 Bretton Woods agreements were celebrated as a new era of international cooperation. Yet the underlying mechanism was simple. Debt is a tool of discipline. Nations could borrow, but only under conditions set by creditors. The IMF, under the control of the US and Europe, began attaching structural adjustment requirements to its loans. National economies were instructed on where to cut, what to privatize, and how to manage budgets. Debt was not only profitable, it was a tool of political control. A quiet revolution also occurred in ordinary citizens' lives. Post-World War II banks discovered ways to sell debt not just to governments or corporations, but directly to families. Mortgages became a status symbol for the middle class. Home ownership, once reserved for elites, became possible for millions if they committed to 30 years of payments. Car loans, furniture installments, and credit cards transformed debt into a consumer product. The psychological shift was immense. Debt was no longer shameful or rare. It had become a normal path to prosperity. Buy now, pay later. Enjoy today, defer tomorrow's burden. For banks, this was a gold mine. Collecting interest from millions of families meant continuous and compounding profit. For governments, as long as consumer demand was fueled by credit, the illusion of endless growth persisted. For companies, debt guaranteed perpetual access to customers who did not yet have money. Debt had become the hidden engine of modern capitalism. Selling credit instead of physical goods is infinitely scalable. No need to dig mines or build factories. Contracts and signatures suffice.